All right, welcome everybody to heat number 2 on the GSA Super Mario Bros. 3 100% tournament. I'm the Haxer, and today I'm joined in commentary by Scotch and Tie Guy. How's it going, man?
Doing well, really excited. Got the first 4-way race here. So we got 4 screens, so make sure you got your eyes going in every direction because we'll have a lot of action on each side of the screen.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got SDiezal, DemonBattler, RaikouRider, and TEEX88 in this race. And the first 3 runners I mentioned, they're actually pretty good randomizer players. So yeah, they will obviously they're not as familiar with the vanilla game, but so it'll be a little bit of challenge for them, but they're actually all pretty good randomizer runners. So they all should have a decent go with this because they're used to all the levels. And then TEEX88, he's probably going to set the pace in this one. He's a really good runner, but as we saw from the first heat, sometimes it doesn't matter how good you are. Unfortunate things can happen.
Yeah, so this is 100% here. So we're doing the whole thing. This is the whole game. So there will be a lot of stuff here and there. We saw from the other day. Just it's really tricky. The whole thing. So we're getting ourselves sorted out here. 4 runners, obviously a little bit difficult to sort everyone out, but we're gonna get going here in just a moment.
So yeah, they're just getting the final touches done on the setup here. So as you mentioned, it is 100%, and basically the rules of this category, it's 100% level completion. So you have to enter and exit all the levels in the game, and that includes Hammer Bros, Piranha Plant levels, the hand levels. You don't have to enter all of the mushroom houses or the card games. So they'll be doing everything else, however.
Just having a little bit of technical difficulty here, so just give us a moment to sort this out. And it looks like we'll be getting going here right about now.
Yeah, it looks like all the runners have readied up, so we're just getting our countdown, and yeah, we'll get going here. We have a question about estimated time. So it kind of depends. We'll see some variance in this race, I think, but we'll see somewhere between the 110 to 130, 140 range probably in this race. So I think TEEX has the best PB with like a 112.45. So we could see as high as that one, and then I know we have some runners around the 140 mark. So, and we've got the countdown, so they should be starting any second here. So yeah, did you get a chance to watch the first heats, Scotch and Tie Guy?
Yeah, I got to give it a watch. I wanted to refresh myself, especially I love this game, Super Mario Bros. 3. As soon as I saw this game pop up, I wanted to get my hands on commentating. So I made sure to watch that first heat to really refresh myself on the game and everything. It was really cool to see. It's interesting to see because of the RNG involved, especially for my take. The hands part is a massive RNG thing that kind of puts an interesting spin on this race that you don't really see too often in speedrunning.
Yeah, well, the interesting thing about this category is, looks like our runners are off here, actually. So we're going to be entering 1-1. We'll talk about the hands later as we get to that portion, obviously. So we're probably going to see a decent variance in strategy here. I think they're all opting to grab a mushroom here in 1-1 because you don't want to miss a jump and accidentally run into a Koopa or a Piranha Plant or something and take a death. So it's definitely a warranted backup strategy. Most runners you would see in this category would actually forgo that mushroom in 1-1 if they're doing attempts or something.
Well, the big thing here, especially with these first couple levels, and I mean, it's across the board, the whole game, is that P meter. How far along can you keep it? How long can you keep it for? And how long can you sustain that through the whole level? As you see TEEX here, able to easily get through those first 2 stages.
Yeah, TEEX having no problem there with 1-2. There is a kind of difficult P speed strat there in 1-2 at the beginning that you can get and saves about a second, but it's actually sub-pixel dependent, so you can't get it every single time you enter the level, unfortunately.
And our restreamer Cheese able to sync everyone up here very nicely so that we have everyone on the same time. You can see a little bit more easily where everyone's at.
Yeah, so, and the chat's already noted this, but RaikouRider is actually using the All-Stars version of the game, which is going to be ultimately a little slower, but we're also going to notice it looks quite a bit different. And some of the strategies that you use in the NES version are going to be different in that version because lag reduction doesn't matter in that game anymore, and as such, you can't do despawn strats and that sort of thing. So I'll try to remember to point some of that stuff out when we get there. So we get our first auto scroller of the game here in 1-4, and we're going to see everybody, I think, pick up a tail if they don't already have one by the end of this level. And they're going to end up using that in the preceding level. But this one's kind of a cool one. You can do some graphical glitches with the blocks, get them to change colors. You can pick up the 1-ups and get them to make weird sounds and that sort of stuff. So just anything you can find to entertain yourself in a level like this.
Well, that's the thing about these auto scrollers, isn't it? Is that you have to wait. You have to wait for the whole thing, and you kind of just sit around for a couple seconds waiting to get past certain areas. But you see TEEX here in the first castle here, picking up that warp whistle.
Yeah, so we're gonna see, I think, everybody do that. Grab the warp whistle in this level because it's much faster than fighting the boom boom, actually. So you definitely want to do it. You'll save a pretty significant portion of time. So you just have to beat the level to get through.
One thing I really like about Super Mario Bros. 3 that you don't really see too much in other Mario speedruns is the ability, like when you take a death for the sake of speed. I think that's really interesting to see, and we'll look out for that sort of strategy throughout the runs between each guy and see what strategies they decide to go with.
Yeah, and we noticed on TEEX's screen he had a really good 1-5. He had a little bit of trouble getting the P speed there in 1-6, which you do want to get because it's a pretty significant time save. Unfortunately, he didn't end up getting it. So the way the P meter works in this game is it checks every 8 frames, and he just unfortunately kept getting a P speed check over the gap there, and he couldn't get the P speed.
Yeah, unfortunately having to take on the Hammer Bro there, losing a little bit of time there to Demon, who seems to have taken the lead here.
Yeah, so we've actually got RaikouRider and DemonBattler taking a slight lead on him here. Although they're not racing each other head to head or anything, they're trying to put up the best time they can. But their times will be used for getting them seated in the tournament, as well as only the top 16 times will advance, and we have 18 runners. So
interesting here, Demon deciding to pick up that fire flower, and Raikou not deciding to, sticking with the squirrel suit.
Yeah, I think he tries to do some swag in this airship here. So grabbing, I think he tries to get the 1-up here. Yeah, he does. Okay. So yeah, we're gonna see a little bit of swag in the airship. I'm telling you, when you're in these auto scrollers, you got to find something that just keeps you occupied, so you're paying attention to what you're doing.
Plenty of 1-ups there for Raikou, and ooh, taking a little bit of damage there, losing the squirrel suit. Will pick up the fire flower though.
Yeah, it's worth noting that if you can get the early fire flower grab from that Hammer Bro fight, it does save a little bit of time. It saves about half a second doing so, because those fights, once you've finished the Hammer Bro off and then have the item spawn and grab the item, they end a specific amount of time after that occurs. So it doesn't change at all whether or not you grab a power up. Normally that would freeze and then you'd have to wait the extra time. So yeah, we got a pretty good race here brewing between all these guys. They're just finishing up World 1 here. TEEX taking the lead back. He did actually end up fighting the Hammer Bro before he beat 1-6, so he got a little extra head start there, even though he took the death going in the airship. Unfortunately, taking some damage in 2-1. It's one of the things you really worry about in this level. You want to be able to maintain this fire flower that these runners have picked up throughout the entire game. For the most part, it's by far the most useful power-up. It allows you to kill bosses faster and boom booms and remove enemies from your way and that sort of thing. So unfortunately for him, taking damage there, he'll be a little disappointed because he won't be able to fire kill the boom boom in the first fortress coming up.
Well, that's just such a killer to your run. When you lose those power ups, and especially in critical areas, having to go back and pick it up maybe, or not having it at all is such a time loss. And we see these guys able to mitigate this over this water very nicely. If they fall into that water, it slows you down so much. So being able to jump across that is so important.
Yeah, it really helps not falling in there and being able to maintain speed to the end of the level. We actually see in the fortress that TEEX got some pretty nice early P speed. So, he misses out on the fire kill, but he does get the nice little early P speed strat. So it's not a complete disaster for him here.
Well, he's able to mitigate that really nicely, again, like you're saying. Regardless of not having that fire flower, something that these other guys are going to have in their back pocket. Raikou not having that, not having the fire flower either.
Yeah, some runners prefer to keep a tail in a lot of levels because it's a nice safety item if you don't feel comfortable in some levels. So there are definitely some runners out there that decide to keep a tail. It is faster to not use a tail because when you jump in the air, it slows you down a little bit in terms of speed when you move through the air. But for him, it's not going to probably make too much difference.
We got TEEX taking on the evil son here, who just wants to ruin your day for whatever reason. Maybe he's just too hot, gotta cool down.
Yeah, most people dreaded this level as a kid, but interesting thing about the Angry Sun's mechanics are the sun stays in the same spot on the screen regardless of whether you're moving forward or backwards. So it's always in your best interest to just continue moving forward and then react to the sun. It's much easier than stopping and losing your momentum because the sun's not going to lose its momentum.
None of these guys having too much of an issue. We've only seen one death so far.
Yeah, and TEEX entering the pyramid here. This is the most technical stage in World 2 here, so definitely see how good of a pyramid he has here. It's pretty good so far. And then yeah, it's pretty good pyramid. Just a little scuff up at the end there, but he'll be pretty happy with that, I think. And then he'll be making his way, hopefully that means to the Fire Bros. I had tried to give everybody a reminder beforehand to fight him, because you got to make sure to do that.
Well, I think that a lot of people, if they don't run 100% regularly, they forget to pass by that. popularity of 100% versus, you know, warped.
Yeah, that's true. Most of the time in long categories, you don't have to fight them unless, you know, you're doing 100%. So, yeah, it's there's only one other category, but it's a category extension where you do fight them. Let's see here. So yeah, we see DemonBattler in 2-4 here. This can be kind of a tricky stage, especially with the speed strat. There's a lot of very precise jumps you have to do to prevent yourself from dying. So, and being that there's these hammer bros everywhere, there's all sorts of stuff you have to avoid. So he's definitely wanting to grab some of these power-ups here to be able to tank a hit if necessary.
And Demon having a little bit of difficulty passing by these boomerang bros.
Yeah. Yeah, and we actually saw SDiezal get a 5-up there too, so we've got our first 5-up of the race. You do not want to do that. It loses a couple seconds when you get that fanfare, but it seems like a much bigger time loss than it is. It's not a huge deal.
Well, every second counts here as we move on to our TEEX moves on to the next auto scroller here on the ship.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. We get to see the pyramid done with the tail. In theory, the fastest way to do the pyramid's actually with the tail. So we get a couple runners getting the opportunity to do that. And then, as you mentioned, TEEX on the World 2 airship here. Normally, he'd like to re-grab fire, but he's not going to have that opportunity here. I don't think he would have tried to fire kill the boss anyway, but obviously now he will have to stomp him either way. Yeah, Morton can be kind of a tricky old boss, so definitely see a lot of runners forgo the fire kill on Morton.
How do you guys? One thing I was having trouble with is memorizing these different bosses. How do you guys like? I don't know how you guys memorize all of them.
Memorize like how to fire kill them or their names?
No,
or...
just their names.
Oh, their names. Well, I mean, I've played the game a lot.
You play it enough times, I guess you can memorize it.
Absolutely. So yeah, if you play the game enough, you're gonna remember. Although, I know Mitch is infamous for forgetting boss names. He's like, I don't remember their names. I don't care. He's like World 1 boss, World 2 boss. So.
Well, we see TEEX able to take care of that ship and the boss pretty easily. All these guys now mitigating through this auto-scroller ship. And we'll get into some water here.
Yeah, definitely the hardest stage in the entire game right here. I mean, look at these very, very precise movements TEEX has to do. Actually, the way he did that stage is a little harder than normal. He would have liked to maintain P-speed as he was grabbing that power-up, as you can do there. But normally you don't have to grab the fire flower, and you just kind of swim for a bit. You jump up top, get P-speed, and then jump to the end, basically. So yeah, we get to see SDiezal with the wand grab as well, and so he's just behind RaikouRider. So they're all keeping pace here, and DemonBattler's not too far behind. So I think it's going to be really close between these three, actually, as we move through this category.
Now, the closeness, like we said before, isn't too much of a big deal for these guys. These really are just heats. We're looking to see what time they get, and this will qualify them for, for play later on down the line.
So yeah, on TEEX's screen, we get to see 3-3 here, and he's doing a nice job of P-speed maintenance through this level. It's not super easy, and if you get tripped up at any point there, you end up losing P-speed, and it's really hard to regain it in that level. Pretty much impossible. So really nice 3-3 coming out from him. On RaikouRider's side, we get to see 3-2. There is a kind of difficult P-speed strat you can do in this level. that it requires some real accurate timing in terms of using these wood platforms as well. You mostly only see the top level runners go for it, but it does save about 4 seconds over going through the stage normally. So. But honestly, making it through this level without taking damage, most players consider that a win, especially in a race. Because yeah, as we see on SDiezal's side, he's having a little bit of trouble here, but he's gonna make it out, so that's good.
Struggling with the fishes there, not able to mitigate it as well. It gets down to small Mario.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things you'll notice with the Cheep Cheeps, he landed on one of them and still took damage. Well, see, the thing about Cheep Cheep hitboxes is they're just not very good. Nah, it has to do with speed values and momentum. So the Cheep Cheep is moving so fast, and once it's over a certain speed threshold, it's going to damage you. Because it'll go through you, and then you'll take damage, and you'll be very sad. You can actually do the same thing to some enemies too. One example is in 4-3. Sometimes you can just phase right through one of the spinies that falls from the ceiling, which is kind of funny when it happens and real fortunate. But yeah, it's something that does happen in this game. So yeah, we see TEEX just kind of cruising through the world here. We got to see the first P-Wing usage that I think we'll see everybody use in 3.5 there. It just makes the level so much quicker than swimming through it. And then, yeah, he made his way to 3.6 here, and pretty straightforward stage. There is a jump you can do at the end that makes it, about a second quicker, but a lot more dangerous. So I'll be interested to see if he decides to do that. I know he wouldn't attempt, but... being that you're in a tournament race, a lot of times saving that second just isn't worth it.
Well, and that's one of the cool things I like about Super Mario Bros. 3 is, you can pick and choose sort of strategies as you want. You see that a lot with 16-star with Super Mario 64, where you have a lot of variety as far as what you can do or what you want to do. So it'll be interesting to see, especially since we're just in a qualifying situation, what these guys decide to go with here and there with clips or, whatever it is.
So yeah, it looks like he did decide to do the fast strat. So he, there is a faster strat where you can get P-Speed going the pipe. So yeah, he was like risking it all for that 1 second. I gotta applaud him. If you're confident, you're gonna hit it. I mean, might as well. We see a couple of the other runners having some trouble with these hammer bros. Man, when you get these water fights and you get the lower pattern, especially a small Mario, it can be really rough. So SDiezal, nice job getting out of that fight without taking another death there, actually. So yeah, we saw TEEX enter the second fort there, and he got the super swim at the beginning of that fort, which is you land on the end of the platforms in the water, and then if you press down and swim at the same time, you'll kind of get this speed boost that brings you forward. And in that case, it brought him right to the pipe, so he saves a little bit of time there, and it just gives you an idea of some of these little optimizations you'll see runners go for, and they really make a big difference and start to add up as you get those times lower and lower.
TEEX taking care of that castle pretty easily. Having that fire flower really, really useful against these bosses.
Yeah, absolutely. As I mentioned earlier, it makes the Boom Boom fight much faster. It saves about 4 seconds on the Boom Boom. I don't know the exact time. It might be a little less or a little more, but yeah, essentially 4. So yeah, we see, as I mentioned, RaikouRider taking that end of that level a little safer, and I don't blame him because I do the same thing. To me, it's like it's not really worth saving that little fraction of time, because as we saw in the first heat, Cujo unfortunately died trying to make it to the pipe quickly. So when you die in this level, since it's an auto-scroller, you lose, you know, over a minute because you also have to re-grab your power-ups. So yeah, I didn't mention 3-7. So we got RaikouRider entering 3-7 here, and we get to see our first look at the spikes. And aptly named because they throw little spike balls. And there is actually a coin heaven in this level that most people don't know about, that that gives you a chest as well that you can get a cloud from. Not super useful in this category since you have to play all the levels, but there are categories where that is actually useful.
Demon having a little bit of difficulty with these spike throwers. Able to get past him eventually, picking up a mushroom on the way.
Yeah, if you just don't make it past them quickly, they can be relentless with just throwing these spike balls. So you really want to get by them as soon as possible.
Well, SDiezal is having the same exact issue, not able to pick up a mushroom on his way out, so he'll exit as Small Mario and will be in a similar situation to Raikou.
And yeah, TEEX making his way to the World 3 airship. At the end of this one, a lot of you will recognize the boss as, you know, generally I think most 2D Mario players' least favorite, Koopaling and Wendy. You definitely want to maintain fire for her. In Mario 3, makes the fight much easier, as we see on TEEX' screen. He has no problem dispatching her there, but if he didn't have that fire flower, the way her mechanics work, her wand will shoot rings, and those rings will stay in the arena until you finish her off. So it's only a maximum of 3 rings, but as you can imagine, it's kind of hard to dodge 3 rings, and then you got Wendy jumping around. It can kind of turn into a nightmare. So fire flower is definitely the way to go for that one.
Chat asking an interesting question. What's your bet on someone using Jesus clip here?
Oh man, I don't think anybody will go for it, but maybe someone will just give it a try. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, if you don't get it, you die, and it just is what it is. And SDiezal there, that was interesting. He landed on top of the Koopa and still died. So having a little trouble with 3-8 here. First, Boss Bass had some lunch, and then Koopa hitbox giving a little trouble. So I guess Koopa hitboxes are underrated in terms of quality.
Well, TEEX making his way through a primitive version of Tiny Huge Island. As we see these bigger boxes.
Yeah, and we actually, he gets a backup speed strat there. He wanted to despawn the plant on the flat section, and to do that, you have to kill the Koopa that's prior to that with a fireball, and then jump off him at the same time, and then grab an ice block, and you'll actually despawn that guy, and then be able to carry the ice block to the next piranha plant and take him out. But does a nice job there, just using the block to take out the first one, and then doing a turn back to maintain P speed after the second one. And we see him entering 4-3 here, and this is one of the most beautiful looking stages in the game in terms of P speed strats, and we'll see if he's able to maintain P speed throughout this one.
SDiezal having an interesting problem trying to get the Koopa to break the block, and it wouldn't break the block, so he sat there for about 5 seconds just looking at it. A little confused, maybe. he was just looking at it, and the Koopa shell kept going back and forth.
So I think what happened there is there could have been too many sprites on the screen too, and you can't pick up the ice blocks, unfortunately, when that happens. So you kind of look silly because you're just standing there and staring at it. But yeah, ooh, TEEX unfortunately taking some damage in 4-4-1 here. He almost did it perfect, but he nicked the end of the middle thwomp there, and unfortunately takes some damage. But overall, pretty good for it. So. He'll keep moving on. I think he'll be fairly happy with that since you only get one shot at it.
Well, TEEX certainly with a decisive lead But we have a good three-way race over here in the back. As we see these guys taking on our boss here. And as you were saying, you know, Demon having a little difficulty with these rings.
Yeah, unfortunately, she is much more difficult when you have to stomp her. And although RaikouRider's like, yeah, okay, man, like it's that hard. He didn't even take damage, so. Yeah, we'll get to see SDiezal's attempt here. He's had a little bit of trouble here in World 3, but he's keeping pace with the other two guys, so.
Yeah, not too far behind. We'll see these guys move their way into World 4.
Yeah, so doing a great job of avoiding the rings from Wendy here. Oh, gets a sky jump there, and he does just, you know, use the invincibility frames to his advantage there to stomp her. So that was really good use of iframes. And meanwhile, TEEX is just kind of blowing through World 4 here. He's already on 4-5, and he's only got a couple more levels till he hits the end here. And then he'll make it to the most infamous airship in Mario 3. Doing a great job of maintaining his P-speed through 4-6 here. Actually, he mistimed that jump there and was able to maintain P-speed after it. So great use of backup strat there. Really heads up and understanding P-speed maintenance, allowing him to keep P-speed there. So good stuff.
SDiezal trying to go for that mushroom there, not able to grab it. We'll have to use a backup mushroom.
Yeah, the second one's much easier. Has no problem getting that one. And it's worth noting that in World 4 here, there really are no fire flowers in the entire world. There are a couple. So the fire flowers are in 4-4, which you can't go above if you get that one. So most people, you know, prefer to go in the block section above and skip that one. And then there is one in 4-5 that is generally the backup flower in this world if you lose it, but you can also get one in 4-4 too. So there's a few spots, but not too many, unfortunately.
So guys are going to need to be very careful of what items they have and how they use them and if they lose them. But we see TEEX here on the airship here in World 4.
Yep, so the thing is about this airship is it moves half the speed of any other auto-scroller in the game. So it is the slowest moving, and as such it's one of the longest levels in the game, but it's actually just slightly shorter than the World 7 airship by only a few seconds, so.
Well, the rest of these guys making their way through World 4, doing a pretty good job, able to hang on to these squirrel suits, as I like to call them.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's made a major mistake of these three, so it's kind of, they've all kind of stood pat, and maybe SDiezal's actually picked up a little bit of time here, so.
Well, this just seems like they've gotten into a groove, you know, a couple of mistakes here and there, but able to, you know, get it back together.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as we see, TEEX, again, like you were saying, this ship is just very, very slow, so you have to be very patient as you move through here.
Yeah, we see him do a non-trivial jump to that top section there. As you can tell, there are a bunch of flamethrowers in this last section, and it's a little dangerous if you have to go the bottom way. So most runners hopefully get the top jump and skip that. But yeah, he does a nice job there and makes his way out of World 4. So I think that's about a 29:45 wand grab. So yeah, we see SDiezal and DemonBattler here in the same level, and just kind of steadily making their way through here.
Oh, and SDiezal trying his best to avoid the Lakitu here. Not able to. Gets a little bit of a spike thrown at him. Loses his item there.
Yeah, no one has more headshots in the history of anything than that Lakitu. He is truly a sniper, one of a kind. So yeah, we see this hammer bro kind of started running away from RaikouRider. So in 100%, one of the strategies to save time is to try to eliminate these hammer bros as soon as possible, but also you try to do it without doing too many overworld movements or using items or too many items. So it's always a gentle balance between all these things. So ideally, you try to take out these hammer bros as soon as you can, because each time you complete a level, you notice they move, and each one of those movements actually costs about half a second. So you can save a pretty significant chunk of time by just taking them out right away. And we see SDiezal actually getting his third triple star here, so he's filling the screen with swag today.
Just showing it off for everyone to see, and we've got Raikou taking on this ship. As we said before, it's just a very, very slow and patient ride through this stage.
Yeah, you pretty much, there's not too much that can go wrong in this stage, but as with every auto scroller, you just want to make sure that you keep paying attention. And meanwhile, TEEX making his way through the lower section of World 5 here. Taking out his first hammer bro there. Looks like I think he went the long way around. He either went the long way around or clouded over 5-3 to take him out. But yeah, he wants to reduce those movements here. So 5-3, if you should watch it. Oh, unfortunately, he doesn't get the P speed there. It's a level you really want to get P speed in because it'll save a really significant amount of time. But he's probably had this happen numerous times, so he knows a way to get through the level fairly safely. He did take some damage there. There is another fire flower coming up right here, so not too big of a deal for him there. Meanwhile, all three of the other runners have now made it onto the World 4 airship. So yeah, they're all just going to be kind of waiting here.
I've been really impressed by the level of consistency that we've seen so far. Oftentimes with races, especially this being the first race for this tournament for these guys, it can get into your nerves and you can make a lot of mistakes here and there. And while TEEX is taking, as we said, a pretty decisive lead here as he makes his way through World 5 and everyone else is on World 4, the airship. Not really too many mistakes to talk about.
Yeah, no. TEEX has a pretty good tower here. He did lose P speed going in that second to or the third to last room, but he gets a 278 in the tower, so he'll be pretty happy with that. It's worth noting that that's not actually considered a level in the game. The game doesn't treat it as a level. It's treated as a pipe transition. So it's kind of interesting because you'll notice there's no card at the end of it. But yeah, it's the most advanced pipe transition ever created by Bowser.
Something for the trivia. If it ever comes up. I'll have hacks on my team whenever it's SNES day. But yeah, we've got SDiezal and Demon still on the ship here. Demon taking care of boss pretty easily. SDiezal will follow up pretty close behind, grabbing that wand. Raikou making his way through World 5 here, and again, TEEX with a really nice lead.
Yeah, he got some nice P speed here at the beginning of 5-7. Unfortunately, he don't tip the block, so he lost it, and that'll happen. So basically, what happened is he just landed on the edge of the block, had a bad subpixel, and looks like Mario stubbed his toe. And unfortunately, when that happens, you lose all your forward momentum.
Well, and the big thing here with races, you know, and this has always been my thinking with runners is, you know, you're so used to resetting at certain points. So the big thing here is when you lose that P speed, or if you make a mistake, knowing how to back that up. And all these guys are backing up everything pretty nicely. You know, again with TEEX, you know, losing that P speed, able to mitigate that level.
Yeah, you just gotta keep pushing on, and that's a good point you make. It's a different mentality in a lot of ways. Races, I think, are easier, at least once you make it out of the first few levels. There's definitely going to be some race nerves, I think, that most people get. I definitely get them, but kind of once you hit your groove, it's okay. And you know, when you make mistakes, it's like, okay, it doesn't really matter from that point. It's already done, so it's just, you know, keep plugging away. Yeah, we actually see RaikouRider's made a little bit of a lead here on the other two runners. And one thing I didn't mention about World 5 previously is it's really the start of a bunch of consecutive stages that are pretty dangerous in terms of, you know, it's easy to take damage in them. Also easy to die in a lot of the stages, especially in the sky portion of the world. So it definitely is a significant bump in difficulty, I would say, generally speaking, compared to other worlds.
Well, we can see Demon here having a little bit of difficulty with, as you were saying it, keeping Mario alive again. He gets knocked all the way down to small Mario, having to mitigate it. Picks up that little, what would you call that?
So, yeah, that's what he was trying to do. It's the Karibo shoe. So yeah, I knew what he was trying to do there. He was having a little trouble with the Karibo shoe at the beginning of getting it so he could pick it up, but he definitely wanted to do this and grab it and make his way through the stage with it. So yeah, generally you don't see this, so this is kind of a cool little swag thing that he's doing, and I'm sure the viewers will appreciate getting to see the Karibo shoe.
Well, it's always nice when you see runners do these interesting things. You know, we haven't seen a runner pick up the shoe yet, and Demon being like, you know, I'm gonna pick it up. It's a little fashion statement, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, in his case, since he didn't have a Firefly or anything, it helps out a lot. Man, the Fire Chomp's giving TEEX some trouble here in 5-9. You can tell he's probably not super used to playing that stage without fire, but he was able to avoid all of them and makes his way through the stage. Luckily for him, it's not randomizer, so it didn't despawn some of the platforms.
Well, a lot of these guys talking beforehand, you know, you talk about randomizer, all reminding each other, hey, this isn't randomizer, just FYI. Kind of a humorous little chit chat between the four of them. As we see Raikou managing that sky level very nicely.
Yeah, absolutely. Very nice to make it, you know, through there without dying. Levels, you know, can be a little scary. I'd say the P-speed strat on that level is not too hard, but unfortunately, if you miss any of your jumps, it usually results in a death. So, yeah, it's kind of one of those that, you know, you make it through 99% of the time, but the 1% of the time you don't, it's a disaster.
Now, one thing I want to note is with TEEX, that airship, you couldn't see Mario at all. So from a runner's perspective, how do you manage that? How do you make sure you know where Mario's at and you're not, you know, getting hit by these cannonballs?
You just get a feel. If you're off screen, things shouldn't be able to hit you. So if you just jump off screen, but you don't want to be like partially hanging off screen because for some reason the cannonballs will damage you. It's kind of a strange mechanic, but yeah. And we actually see him grab the wand there, taking out Roy. Roy is our first look at a Koopaling that has, I guess the best way to describe it is the earthquake, which is when he lands after jumping, the screen shakes, the ground, and then also if you're standing on the ground while it happens, you'll get stunned for a certain amount of time. And some of those Koopalings can just continuously jump, and you just kind of get stun locked and take a death. So you definitely want to just jump on him as soon as possible and then time the other jumps to take him out as quickly as you can. Really nice 6-1 coming out from TEEX there. Wow. Good P-speed strat. So one of the significant differences in World 6 here versus like say a category like Warpless is in Warpless I'd say World 6 is pretty straightforward. But in this category, you add a lot of stages, and most of these stages there's a lot of tough technical details if you're trying to do them optimally. And you know, that's one of those stages you get added as well as this one. There's actually an early P-speed strat in 6-3 here that saves a couple seconds, but you're jumping on one tiles with P-speed, and you know, when you're moving so fast, it can be a little tricky.
Raikou making his way through this castle. Interesting lava on the ceiling. Really want to talk to Bowser and see how he's able to keep the lava on the ceiling versus it falling down. Really interested in his gravity device, keeping that lava up there.
Yeah, physics just isn't something that, you know, Bowser cares about, so... Yeah, we see DemonBattler having a little trouble here in 5-5 because he's going into the stage without a power-up, so he keeps taking damage at the beginning here. So we see SDiezal making a little bit of a gap between him and DemonBattler here. Meanwhile, TEEX is on another auto-scroller, 6-3. Just, again, it's kind of a theme with auto-scrollers. You know what you're getting into when you get into them, but, you know, you don't want to stop paying attention and take a death. So you got to find ways to keep yourself occupied.
Well, and I think that was the intention for the developers, you know, was to give you these levels that made you get kind of complacent because it was just so slow and monotonous. And as I was saying before, sometimes you can't see Mario at all. Raikou, absolutely nowhere on the screen to be found, but maintaining that P-speed nicely. And TEEX, you know, taking 2 damages so they can get across those spikes a little bit more easily.
So yeah, actually, what happened here is RaikouRider used the P-wing in this level. He's like, you know, I don't want to deal with the platforms or anything, so he's P-winging it, making it nice and easy. We do see that DemonBattler does make it out of 5-5. I think he took a death in 5-6 again, and it's worth noting 5-6 is the only stage in the game that has those parabeetle enemies, which they're kind of enemies, but they also help you because you can land on them and use them to float across the gaps. So.
Oh, and Demon taking a death there, as you were saying.
Yeah, he's having a little trouble landing on them. It's basically like landing on one tile blocks. And so you have to have real good Mario control in order to do this, because you don't want to slide off them. This is one of I personally think this is the second hardest auto-scroller in the game, just for this reason. It's very easy to just accidentally slide off one of these.
Oh, and Demon missing that mushroom there. Having to be very careful on these precarious single blocks.
We see TEEX actually making his way through 6-6. He does get a despawn there of that second planet, which makes that second section much easier to navigate through. It's one of the more infamous stages in the run because you go into it generally as small Mario, and any hit's going to take you out. And it's also one where you want to do it almost as fast as you possibly can to get the despawn of that plant that he was able to take out there. So
we see a lot of mistakes here now. Raikou taking some damage there from that boss.
Yeah, and just mistimed the jumps a little bit, and that'll happen, and that's what makes Roy so dangerous. Fortunately, Roy, he was able to land after Roy, so he didn't get stunned by the earthquake mechanic. But yeah, it's always scary when that happens because you're like, oh, please don't stun me.
Interesting thing from, it's one thing that's always interested me. I like a little bit of lore, lore theory about Mario games especially, and I've always been curious how Peach has been able to send out these letters even though she's in captivity.
Yeah.
Not very smart on Bowser's part.
Yeah, I don't know. Bowser just, his army's full of incompetence. What can we say? I mean, look at these. They're there 1 second, they're gone the next.
Maybe someone has a theory in chat on why that's the case, but you see TEEX making his way through this auto-scroller with these donuts, having to maintain, make sure these donuts don't fall out from underneath him. Pretty easy to do that, though.
Yeah, TEEX making his way through another auto-scroller. That's another great part of World 6. You get 2 auto-scrollers and an airship. So 3 auto-scrollers in total. And we actually see Raikou on the one that he did previously. And we see all 4 runners, actually, were on an auto-scroller there for a second. And they were all different ones. We see some nice P-speed maintenance with the tail through 642 here by TEEX. It's definitely the way you want to do that for it. It is very quick and much, or it's a pretty significant time save over just running through and waiting for the thwomps. So very nice stuff. Now we can see DemonBattler's attempt at 5-9 here. Everybody's favorite stage. Ooh, unfortunate. Of course, I jinxed him. Unfortunately, falls off one of the platforms there.
Now, as we get closer to World 7 with TEEX here, just a quick reference for everyone. Discuss some of the clips here in World 7 in particular.
Yeah, so there's a lot of different clips you can do. I'm expecting we'll probably only see 7-1 clip, but we could see more, obviously. Just because 7-1, it saves over 30 seconds if you get it first try, so you pretty much always have to go for it. And it's a sub-pixel dependent trick. There are different sub-pixels that you can get it with, but yeah, you do have to have one of them. And then also there's like a 6 vertical pixel window you have to hit on the wall, and you also have to be moving fast enough. There's a minimum speed they have to be moving while also moving downwards. So there's a few different execution components to it, as well as subpixels, more of an RNG component. Although it's worth noting that you can actually manipulate your subpixel at the end of the World 6 airship here. That will give you a subpixel, at least for the first attempt, that allows you to clip. So
just for everyone to watch out for, you don't see too many major clip tricks in this run, especially in races, because you're looking for consistency. Maybe if you're looking at world record attempt runs, you might see more clips and everything, but that 7-1 in particular is crucial for these races.
Yeah, so the question is, what's a subpixel? It's basically a value less than a pixel that's assigned to Mario. So it, you know, his position appears as it's on 1 pixel on the screen, but it's actually not quite at that position. So the key to the subpixel is you have to move basically a half a pixel. I think it's half a pixel extra than you would normally, and that's what allows you to clip.
And as we were talking, Demon having a little difficulty with this auto scroller and these platforms that change, you know, change elevation. Taking a death.
Yeah, those can be a little tricky. He kind of unfortunately broke that block and it put him in a tough spot there. But he just gets a star and takes him out without any issue there.
Demon taking another death here. He's gonna have to go for it again. Especially as little Mario, it's gotta be so difficult because you've got that kind of demon thing that follows you upward.
I
like
the
changing
fire
the
chomp.
names of characters. Sorry.
Yeah, the fire chomps are there to kind of be an annoyance in this stage. So yeah, if you're unable to take them out, they can definitely give you some problems. I think he's looking pretty good here. Yeah, I think he's gonna make it through this time. All right, he's out.
Third go, yeah.
Yeah, he was having some trouble there, but he's out of there. Meanwhile, TEEX grabs the wand out of World 6, and it's important that he is still Big Mario because you have to be big to clip. So he would have liked to have had Fire Flower still, but Big Mar is a nice consolation. So yeah, we get to see how many attempts it'll take TEEX here to clip through this wall.
Yeah, that's
4, 5? It was 5 or 6.
Not too bad. Saves a little bit of time, but having to take those attempts is, obviously each attempt takes a little bit more time, so you lose that time save.
Yeah, each attempt takes about 2 seconds, but it also depends on how you do it. So he probably saved, I don't know, 25 seconds or so while we're doing the level normally there. And we'll get to see, so he's trying to get P-Speed here. Unfortunately, he misses at that first go-around. So normally he wouldn't want to take damage there, but he takes some damage. And since he didn't get P-Speed, he's not going to make it over the gap. So he's going to have to build the music block bridge there. It's a pretty tough stage to do. So that sort of thing definitely happens even to the best runners on occasion.
Well, especially in a race, you can't, like I said, you can't reset, you can't restart, you gotta keep going. So it's figuring out how to just keep moving on, and obviously TEEX having to kind of backtrack a little bit to make it across here, but is able to, he's able to mitigate it pretty well. He's been able to mitigate these backups pretty easily without any major issue.
Yeah, I think he's only taken the 1 death in the run and 1-6, so he's probably not super happy with his run right now, but honestly it's okay. Like there's no real major issue in the run. I think that was the biggest time swing, really, was just that death right at the beginning. Otherwise, most of these are fairly minor in comparison. So yeah, we see DemonBattler making his way through 6-1 here, and yeah, these Patuis can be kind of evil. That one just inching closer to him, forced him to take some damage there, unfortunately. And yes, that is their name, Patuis. So we see TEEX here in 7.5, which is a puzzle stage that there's really no reason to play outside of the fact that this is 100%. But if you're just making it through the game, the pipe, you know, doesn't lead you anywhere. I think it might lead you to a mushroom house, but that's about it.
And
you got to play all the stages.
SDiezal not being careful, not taking a death there in 6-6.
Yeah, this is a rough stage. It's easier in this in the vanilla game than it is in randomizer. He's used to playing in randomizer. I can tell you, he probably has no love for this stage.
Well, I mean, any water stage in Mario is just not. It is just so difficult and just not fun, generally speaking.
Yeah, it's actually worth noting that you can control your swimming much better in Mario World than you can in Mario 3. There's no, like, you can't press downward and then, get your swim level lower like you can in that. So you always will have the same sort of swim level. There's basically two things you can do: is you can press right or left and you won't jump out of the water, and if you press up you'll jump out of the water, but those are really the only differences in the swims. So yeah, we see TEEX making his way through 7-4, the infamous water auto-scroller. I think objectively everyone that plays 100% agrees this is the worst level in the game. Not just because it's a water level, not just because it's an auto-scroller. It's a combination of the two, and these spiky cheeps we see spawning are actually random in terms of where they spawn. So I think he actually took some damage in the stage, which is why he ended up with a fire flower, because normally you want to maintain your tail to then use in 7-4-1, but he has another backup strat that he'll be able to use, so not too big of a deal for him there.
TEEX putting on that squirrel outfit there for this level. Taken out of his inventory.
Yeah, so it looks like I think this was his last P-Wing. I think what he's gonna do then is he's gonna clip 7-6. I'm not sure. Maybe he had one and I just missed him. Oh wait, he gets one from the Piranha Plant level. No, he's fine. So he just equipped it to do that stage. Okay. Makes his way through this pretty nicely without a star, actually.
Well,
not
especially that's
such
it's such a tricky cycle, you know, them popping out in different directions and everything. So you know, controlling Mario and where he's at and being precise with that is really important.
So yeah, SDiezal getting a pretty decent fly here through 6-4 too, so that was pretty nice. Fortunately, he made it to that top section, so he didn't take a death or anything. So I think we'll be pretty happy with the result there. And meanwhile, we see RaikouRider making his way onto the airship here in World 6. So it looks like he's going to be the second person making his way into World 7. And we get to see 7-7 over on TEEX's screen. This is the star run stage. Grab star, press right, run to the end of the level. Simple, right?
Except making sure that you don't get hit by the pipe there and lose that star.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, he did a nice job of getting the 2 cycle there. You have just enough invincibility frames after that second star grab he got to make it to the end of the stage. So you don't want to trip up on any of those pipes or anything. And we see DemonBattler here making his way through 6-4. I didn't mention this stage earlier. I missed when the other runners went through it. But so normally the stage is a little easier to make it through small, because as you can see, there's all these small little cracks that you can just kind of run through. And actually, we see SDiezal going for the wall jump in 6-9 here. All right. Yeah,
I was about to comment on that. Yeah. Again, just showing it off, you know.
He's jumping a little too high in the wall. You want to actually hit where the black lines are between the blocks, or about halfway up. So I guess he can actually hit it there, but there's actually a nice setup for the spot below the one he's going for.
I love that he's just going for it. He's not even stopping. Now he's going down the pipe.
He probably could have got it with Small Mario. It's worth noting that for wall jumps, most subpixels you can wall jump with as Small Mario. But yeah, as Big Mario, it's a pretty small range of them. And yeah, he did actually hit it once. Oh yeah, we see TEEX with the hammer suit. So he's one of the few runners that grabs the hammer suit in 7-8 there, and so he clips his way through 7-9, or I think he actually ran through normally, but
no, he
can
did the clip.
Potentially clip. Oh, he did do the clip. Okay.
He did do the clip, yeah.
Well, did he? Yeah. Okay. He did the 2 bottom clips.
Yeah.
Or do you just do the gap clip? Okay. He did the 2 bottom clips. Yeah. And just misses out on the Kobe there on the boom boom. Yeah, unfortunately the hammer was just a little too far to the left, but it was a really good attempt at getting the fast boom boom kill there.
Now maintaining this suit is really important.
Yeah, so this is gonna make Bowser's kill about 7 seconds faster. But since he's invested that time by going through the pipe, that 2 extra pipe transitions in 7-8, and the loss of P speed and all that stuff, he definitely wants to maintain it through the rest of the game now, for it to pay off. So unfortunately, DemonBattler taking a death there in 6-6, and that's not even that uncommon. I can tell you, I have taken plenty of deaths in 6-6.
Raikou having a little difficulty with his water level, loses Fire Flower, which makes that level easier because Fire Flower, you're able to take out some of these cheeps and the squids and make his way through this jellyfish minefield.
Yeah, it's a good point. When those cheeps spawn, you can take them out with the Fire Flower, so it does help. If you don't have a tail, it's definitely probably advised to pick one up, because you don't want to die here.
It looks like he'll pick up a Fire Flower there, which will make that significantly easier.
Yeah, he just takes out the ones that are in his way without any problems here. And so we see TEEX making his way towards the end of the World 7 airship here. As I mentioned previously, this is the longest level in the game. So obviously you don't want to die here, but they save the longest level for the last airship. It's nice.
And it's really important because you can fall through those screw platforms. So making sure that you're staying on top of that is important. It looks like he manages it very, very well.
Yeah, he didn't have any issues there. I think everybody's done that at least once. I've done it exactly once, but man, that was surely a disappointment. So yeah, we see SDiezal. He took some damage there, but that's okay, because I think he had a tail anyway, and so to make this clip in the next stage, it's much easier to do as Big Mario than it is with a tail. And as I mentioned previously, the reason for that is when you jump with the tail, again, your airspeed is different from just Big Mario. You move faster as Big Mario, so you lose a little bit of speed when you have a tail. So being able to maintain that little extra speed definitely makes this easier. So yeah, DemonBattler, we see him make his way out of 6-6 there, so that's great. And we'll see how many attempts that it takes. Oh, go ahead.
Almost taking a death there as Raikou took a death there. So I'm able to mitigate it pretty easily. And we see SDiezal going for that clip that we talked about.
Yeah, he's starting to get to the point where it's not actually faster than if he had just entered the door right away, but you know, on average, you're definitely going to clip through way faster. He's still, honestly, he's still probably about even with just playing the level normally.
How many times that took? Yeah. Well, and you can never guess like how many times it's going to take you. So it's like, well, at what point do I stop and just go through the level? And at what point, you know, do I keep trying? You can't guess that.
Yeah.
So you just got to keep trying.
Yeah, exactly. You know, sometimes you just get one that's just a disaster. There's nothing you can really do about it. I'd say on average, it's probably takes 5 or 6 tries. We see him actually trying to get the clip here through the pipe, which you can do. It's kind of interesting. It's a little tough, but that clip, you know, it's the same idea as the clip in the previous level.
See TEEX making his way through World 8. We'll have hands coming up soon, and really that's really the big RNG part of this run. As I think we talked about it before.
Actually, in 100%, the cool part is you have to play the hands anyway. So you only lose 1.5 seconds if you get a hand animation, because you have to wait for that animation to finish. So this is the one category where
it's not too big of a deal.
Yeah, exactly. You know, it's like a 5-second time swing between all hands and no hands. So, you know, that's one of the upsides. So when you're racing this category, RNG doesn't decide too terribly much. You can pretty much have a great run every time you fire up 100%, but it's, you know, there's a lot more difficult strats, I would say, that you have to do compared to other categories.
Certainly.
And then, yeah, you know, since you're playing all the auto scrollers too, it's always an opportunity to lose like a minute by taking a death.
Rest of these guys working their way through World 7 and Demon finishing up World 6.
Yeah, SDiezal's on the maze here, the maze in 7.5, so he wants to grab this shell because he's going to use it to break a block here in this section to get to the next section. So pretty smart usage here. Good stuff. Breaks through, makes it through the little gap. Shell doesn't come back at him, so he's happy. And we see RaikouRider choosing to forego the hammer suit there, and gets a very nice fire nipper pattern at the end of 7-8. It's worth noting that those are the only fire nippers in the game. And, you know, the interesting thing is they were probably added to just show off one of the mechanics of the hammer suit that many people don't know about is when you duck and so you kind of collapse in your shell, the fireballs you get from those fire nippers as well as from the fire piranhas won't actually affect you.
Well, TEEX able to take care of those 3 worlds pretty easily. No problems at all, not losing that. Suit, so crucial for the end of this game. Finishing
and he's in an infamous level here too. A lot of people have trouble with this one, especially in casual play. It's the fast airship. So it moves twice as fast as a normal auto scroller. So you have all these rocky wrenches that are just far enough apart to where if they throw a wrench towards you, it stays on the screen. So you kind of have to stay out in front of this auto scroller. Otherwise, you might get yourself in a jam with all the wrenches on the screen.
TEEX not having too much of a problem. Takes out that boom boom there. We see SDiezal.
Yeah, and actually, as I mentioned, oh, go ahead.
SDiezal's little Mario here as he way through Water World. So having to be very careful.
Yeah, not a spot he really wants to be in. Unfortunately, hits the block on the wrong side there, so the mushroom goes to the left instead of the right. So if you want it to go one direction, you have to hit the block on the other side. So if he would have hit it on the left side, it would have gone to the right, but he hit it about center. Unfortunately, it was center left. And then we see RaikouRider making his way through 7 Fort 2 here, which is another infamous level. It's the Piranha Fort, and it's pretty easy to take a death in that stage. There's all those piranha plants in the way, and you really only have the pipes to land on. It's a really great 8-2 coming out from TEEX. It's not super easy. So he's able, another cool part about the hammer suit is you can kill the Angry Sun with the hammers. So he's able to get the hammer suit snipe of the Angry Sun and then make his way and maintain his P speed. So that was a great job.
Yeah, just really clean, and like you were saying, you know, he firing that those hammers out, you know, it's so precise, especially, you know, again, trying to maintain P speed. And see Demon take care of, you know, grab that wand there, will make his way out of World 6 onto World 7.
Yeah, and he's not one that normally goes for the clips in 7-1. He said he was practicing it and he was having a lot more success with it earlier today, so be interested to see if he does decide to go for that. I've been trying to give him some advice on how to do that. So he does have Big Mario, which is the right power-up to have for this. So
we'll see if he goes for it here.
Looks like he's going to choose the P-Wing it. See, yeah, he has a lot of trouble with the clips, so...
Well, and you know what? That's fine. That's perfectly fine, especially in a race situation. You know, you go with what's consistent. You go with what works, and you know, oftentimes that pays off versus taking, you know, a strategy that might be faster, but something that you're not necessarily consistent with.
Yeah, that's true. If he's not going to get the clip, you know, within that, you know, about 20 tries, then he's better off doing what he's doing here.
Something that we haven't seen yet, SDiezal with the is that the cat outfit?
Oh, the Tanuki suit, yeah. So yeah, he picked up the Tanuki suit in the fortress there. I think he might be out of P-Wings, maybe? Or he doesn't realize. In randomizer, a lot of times you just clip this stage, so I don't think you'll have too much problem getting the clip here, but... cool thing about DemonBattler here. Oh no, he took damage right before. But yeah, he could have used that tail to fly over that section. But of course, I cursed him. And
haven't had any commentators curse yet, unfortunately. Oh, nice clip from TEEX.
Yeah, so TEEX has made his way into Bowser's Castle here. So this is the final level of the game. Gets a nice little clip there. It saves about 1.5 seconds. Over not getting it. Ooh, falls down a little bit there, but that's okay. He didn't end up in the Ragu, so he'll just be able to continue his way on. Get some nice stature and P-speed there. That's a fairly significant time save. We're not getting it, so good stuff, and just takes out Bowser quickly, like we mentioned. You know, one of the benefits of the hammer suit. Very simple Bowser kill. So get your GGs for TEEX. Very good run coming out from him. He's within a minute and a half of his PB, so that's always good. And yeah, he finishes with an official time of 1:14.14. It looks like.
Really nice time from TEEX. That'll help him for this tournament. You know, again, this is the qualifier, so it's all about, you know, what time you get, not necessarily what place you're in. So I mean, you could do terribly in your heat, but someone else could do worse than you, and you know, you could get in the tournament regardless. You know, get a good place in the tournament regardless.
Yeah, you just got to get in the bracket. So, as such, with that a finish, I think that means Stewie Cartman is now guaranteed to make the bracket. So, congrats to Stewie. I think he had a 1:13.45 roughly. So, we'll get to see some runners guaranteed now to make the brackets. Meanwhile, we see looks like 7-8's giving SDiezal a little trouble here. He's gonna use that power up he's got to just kind of fly over this thing. And yeah, I didn't mention this with the auto scrollers at the beginning of World 8 here, but as with the auto scrollers and the rest of the game, you kind of just got to do things that are going to keep you occupied. The nice thing about World 8 auto scrollers is there's plenty of enemies to stay out in front of and take out, so you usually don't get too bored doing them.
Well, we'll see these guys, finishing up here. World 8. Raikou in World 8, and SDiezal going for this clip here, as we talked about before. TEEX was able to get it pretty easily. Oh, and SDiezal opt out of that clip and make his way up and around.
Oh, the Paragoomba.
Unfortunately getting hit there, yeah.
One thing I gotta say about the Paragoomba is expect him. He coming. But yeah, I mean, Paragoombas, that's just a Paragoomba thing. They're a really annoying enemy. They're less annoying in Vanilla Mario 3 than they are in Randomizer, because they can just kind of show up anywhere, and the way you go around them is different than pretty much every other enemy in the game.
Well, I remember playing Super Mario Brothers as a kid, 3 as a kid, and just the Paragoombas were always just the bane of my existence. And when you were playing, especially even World 1, they just were a terror. And SDiezal losing Fire Flower there.
Yeah, that's okay. He'll be able to get it back in the World 7 airship. Nice thing about the World 7 airship is it's one of only 2 airships in the game that have 2 power-ups. So the other one is the World 4 airship. You generally don't see the second one because most people have entered the pipe by then, but there is a second leaf at the end of the World 4 airship. But SDiezal makes it out of 742 years, so. And meanwhile, we have RaikouRider just kind of making his way through World 8. Yeah, no, TEEX hasn't given up. He has finished his run.
Yeah, he's just sitting around waiting, and we'll probably get these guys in for a little interview after they're all done. So make sure to stick around and hear what these guys, say about their runs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Demon taking his time, small Mario again. Difficult position to be in, especially in these.
Yeah, it's difficult. The good news is he has a much smaller hitbox, so he can just kind of sneak around the big bird there like he did.
Oh my, I was clenching my teeth there.
Yeah, so he makes it out of there. That was really nice. Just kind of threaded the needle and made his way to the pipe. So that's pretty huge for him. As we keep mentioning, dying in these auto scrollers, especially towards the end of them, is kind of it's a gigantic time loss. Usually it's a minimum a minute, and depending on the length the auto scroller could be up to 2. So
Raikou opting for the P-wing for this airship, just completely avoiding these wrenches and torches altogether.
Yeah, one thing about that airship is I think you can actually get sniped off screen by one of those wrenches if it's thrown in a specific position. So it's a little risky doing it that way. It's definitely safe. It's safer, but also not safer at the same time, if that makes sense.
Well, it's risk reward again, you know, in these race situations. What strategy are you going to take? Are you going to go for something that's a little riskier? Or are you going to keep it safe?
Yeah, I mean, you got to do what you think is going to be best to make it through the level, and we see him actually using a P-wing in 8-1 here, so you know, he's doing what's safe for him, and he makes it through and doesn't get hit, so it's, you know, pays off.
I liked Raikou taking out that that bullet bill there. Nice little flare of fashion, if you will.
Yeah, right.
Didn't need to do it, did it anyway. And SDiezal grabbing the wand there, he'll make his way in 8 as well. And Demon having a little difficulty grabbing that star. Will grab it on the 3rd bounce around.
Yeah, the tail makes the star run here a little more difficult because you can't go for the 2 cycle. And as I mentioned, your airspeed just isn't as fast, so you get hung up in the air a little bit. As we can see, you know, how quickly it seemed like his invincibility frames there from the star wore out, but he makes it through and, you know, keeps Big Mario. I think that's big for him to be able to at least take a hit or 2. We see RaikouRider making his way through 8 Fort, and it's a little bit of a maze, but obviously everybody here's played the game enough to know exactly where they have to go through this one. And let's see if he's able to get the 1 cycle here. So the damage was good there because... oh, he actually is going to grab the fire here. Okay. I think he's going to go for a little bit of swag through that door. Nope, he's just going to do it the old-fashioned way. Okay. Meanwhile, DemonBattler, we get to see our second look at the hammer suit here in 7-8, so he's able to grab that. At the very least, if he doesn't keep it, he can use it to tank a hit or 2. So
it appeared that Raikou was trying to keep P speed there, wasn't able to do that through the spikes, so I had to wait for the conveyor belt to pull him along.
Yeah, I think RaikouRider's right on the edge of PB pace here, actually, because I think he's got a 125, so let me make sure that that's correct. And yeah,
always
he's at
excited
125.50.
Yeah, always excited to see someone PB. We've seen it before with Super Mario 64 runs.
Yeah, I think SDiezal looks like is on PB pace as well. Or he's close anyway. Because it looks like, what is it? Yeah, I think he's on PB pace. He'll have to have a really good World 8, but it's possible.
And Demon having a little difficulty there with the Koopa. Trying to snipe him with the hammer. Able to finally get it and making his way through here.
Yeah, he's able to get around him. So yeah, that's big for him, and he's having a pretty good run, honestly, for him too. I think he's at about a 141, so he's really close to PB pace as well.
Yeah, one of the commenters mentioned in chat, you know, these guys as across the 4 of them. Again, these are 4 guys racing against each other. The range of their PBs are between an hour and 12 minutes, an hour 41. So this you know, they're playing well for, you know, what their PBs are.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we see RaikouRider making his way through Bowser's Castle with the tail. He's really close to the PB here, actually, so it's going to be pretty much a photo finish.
We'll have to see. Having to back up there. Missing the 2 jumps.
Meanwhile, SDiezal's in the Navy. I'm not going to sing the Navy song.
And it looks like Raikou will not be getting that PB as he's having to wait for Bowser to, crush the floor. Obviously, the longer way to defeat Bowser.
Yeah, he's still really close, though. He might get it. He might get it. He might get it by a couple seconds. Depends on how quick of a bounce here he gets, because I think he's got it. I think he's going to PB by a second.
And we'll see. Can he get in there?
Oh no, he missed it by 1 second.
Wow, that's disappointing. We'll have to ask him. Ask him about it afterward.
Yeah, I mean it's disappointing, but you only got one shot at it, so yeah, absolutely.
He
missed it by 1 second.
Yeah, if he hadn't have if he hadn't messed up with those statues, he would have PB'd for sure. And SDiezal taking a death there, unfortunately, on the second hand.
Yeah, so I mean it's still a good run. He'll probably be a little disappointed, but yeah.
Oh yeah, he's definitely commenting in chat. Definitely disappointed. But we're definitely impressed from our end. You almost the first race of this tournament, you almost PB and you miss it by a second. That's impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also worth noting that after that finish, Cujo has now secured his spot in the bracket. So all three runners from the first heat have secured their spot in the bracket. Not super surprised by that, or wait. Did I get that right? No. Sorry, TEEX has secured a spot in the bracket.
Yeah.
Sorry, Cujo needs one runner to finish here, and then he's technically secured his spot too, but
I'm not remembering. Do you remember the times from the last race? I'm not recalling them off the top of my head.
Yeah, so I think I got them right here. So Zakubi got a 1:11.50. Stewie Cartman was second with a 1:13.51, and Cujo came in with a 1:16.03. So actually, with that finish, RaikouRider is gonna secure his spot in the bracket as well, because we still have these other two runners still going. Obviously, there's still a lot more time for them to also secure their bracket spot.
Yeah, and SDiezal unfortunately losing. He was able to maintain that P speed and able to stay up. Unfortunately, getting hit by the wrench there. So
yeah, I think he'll be pretty happy that he just made it out. And as I mentioned previously, he's right on PB pace. So
just all these guys playing very, very well.
Yeah, when you get one shot at it, it's always tough to get a PB. So any PB is a good PB in this instance.
Well, it's especially in a race situation. The nerves have to be getting at you hard, and you're in front of 213 people watching, in this race. So very cool to see. And we got TEEX and Raikou in chat right now, but we'll wait to interview after everyone's done. Oh, and SDiezal getting faked out by the sun there.
Yeah, we can actually start the interviews now if you want. So obviously both you guys have finished, and technically with your finishes, you both secured a spot in the bracket. So want to hear some thoughts. First, let's start with TEEX. How do you think your run went?
Well, I think that relative to what I know I'm capable of and what my expectations were going into this run, I'd say it was fairly decent. There were a handful of hiccups along the way. I think the most noteworthy was right in the beginning when I got frame rolled in 1/6 about 3 times and then ended up falling, just trying to take a leap of faith.
Yeah, I do recall that. I did point that out. I was like, man, you just couldn't get P speed there, and that was the only death I think you took in the run. So from
yes.
that point, you played pretty well.
Thank you. Yeah, that alone just cost me about 28 seconds on World 1 alone. And yeah, there were a couple other strats that I was trying to go for along the way that just kind of wasn't successful with, and just lost a couple power-ups, so I couldn't go for the fire kill on Lemon. And then kind of had to improvise my way through 7-2, and I think I missed one of the jumps on the pipes and had to build the bridge with the note block, so that cost about 40 seconds total.
Now,
yeah, you had trouble with that P speed at the beginning.
Yeah.
Now, Raikou missing a PB by 1 second.
Yep.
How do you feel about that?
Well, first of all, I made an incredible amount of mistakes during that run.
Well, and the thing that I noticed is you were having trouble getting over those statues at the end there. Had you not missed, not to put insult to injury, but if you hadn't missed those statues, you probably would have PB'd.
Mm-hmm. I did not know where I was relative to my PB because my splits for Mario 3 standalone are not current. Because I got that PB during a Super Mario All-Stars 100% run. I wasn't aware that I was that close to a PB, or I would have played a little bit more safe at the end of the game, because I ended up losing fire in a spot where I didn't want to. Plus, I completely forgot how to 100%. I failed to get the hammer suit after 6-5, and I also did not get the Tanuki after 5-2 for World 7. I do something kind of weird in 100%, and Warpless as well, where I get a Tanuki suit after 5-2 to use after 7-1, and try to hold that until 7F1, because it speeds up 7-5 a lot, and of course it speeds up 7F1 a bunch, and 7-2, so that was... Let me actually check that. Between those stages, that was roughly 35 seconds of time loss. So I think a 124 or even a 123 is coming soon.
Well, and the one thing the one thing I wanted to say was, in a race situation, you almost PB and you lose the PB by 1 second. That's got to be a big confidence boost here for the future.
I feel my strength in general has always been in marathon and race type situations. For whatever reason, race situations just bring out the best in me. In the last big tournament I was in, the Donkey Kong Country 3 Any Percent tournament, as soon as I got into brackets, every single match I played was in 30 seconds of PB.
Well, that'll be good. We'll look forward to seeing more runs from you in the future and see if you can PB in a race.
That would be pretty sweet, because I don't really run this particular category outside of Super Mario All-Stars. Since my focus right now is not on this category, it's on another category a lot of people might not know about, called All Switches, since I'm running that for an upcoming live marathon in 2.5 weeks. So that's where my focus has been with this game.
Now we've got... Now, Diesel's screen is a little bit behind just because we paused him, but he did finish. Now, I believe Diesel, he was close to PBing as well, yeah?
I believe so. And SDiezal and Demon actually both come from the randomizer side. All three of us do, actually. So I thought that when I was watching the restream, the first thing I was thinking of is, so this is an actual Super Mario Bros. 3 speedrunner versus 3 Let's Players. Got it.
Nah, I mean, honestly, I think you guys did great. I mean, being that close to your PBs, and as you mentioned, you're more randomizer players, so it's more randomizer. You just kind of make things up on the fly. It's a little different than when you're doing vanilla game. It's kind of all rehearsal, really.
Because all three of us actually play a wide variety of different randomizers, so we more thrive when you don't know what the game is going to throw at you.
Now, SDiezal, how far off from your PB were you?
By about 3 seconds.
Oh, so,
Wow.
Yeah, it's the same situation. So that, I mean, that's got to be again a big confidence boost, considering you're in a race situation.
Yeah.
So, did you PB, or because the one I've listed is a 1:34.54? So was that actually PB?
Yeah, it was a
Oh, you
3-second
did
PB. Yeah.
Congratulations, GG's on the PB, man.
Nice.
Oh, thanks. Yeah.
Sorry about that. I apologize.
Nah, it's all good. Yeah. I am like the king of dying on auto scrollers. I'm telling you, it happened at least 4 separate times, dude. It was so bad.
And that.
The good news is it's a free time save next time.
Yeah, that too. Yes, I have that to look forward to. But I think it was on it was 5-6. I entered the pipe too soon, and I guess a sprite like was coming off screen, entering the screen, and hit me as I was already in the pipe. I don't know what happened there. Like I entered the pipe and I died. I couldn't quite understand.
Oh,
what
which
went on
level
there.
was that?
It was
5-6. You
5-6.
said?
Yeah. So like I
okay.
entered the pipe the second that it came on screen, but I think it was probably that little cannonball dude with the fireball tail. Sometimes he can come off screen, I guess, late and come up against the screen. I don't know what happened, man. Like I just died out of nowhere.
You're gonna be sad about this, but actually, you can get squished by the screen in that level.
If you enter it too soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you have to delay just ever so slightly, and then you'll be able to get through. So unfortunately, that wasn't even your fault.
Okay. See, I thought I did something wrong there, but yeah, I didn't understand what had happened. And it was like the very end of the auto scroller too, so it was a big time loss.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's like a minute right there, right? So
Easily.
Yeah, so next time you play, you'll know that you just pause a little bit before that one and just let it go, and then you won't get squished. That's an unfortunate mechanic of the auto scroll anyway. Although I don't think you can do it in 7.4. That's the only other place I think that comes into play, the horizontal pipe.
Gotcha.
I should probably also explain why I played on... the reason why I played on All-Stars is because I only really run Super Mario Bros. 3 as part of Super Mario All-Stars. Because I like doing all 4 warpless and all 4 100% a lot.
There you go. Now, TEEX and Raikou, you've secured a spot in the tournament. How you guys going to prepare for the rest of this tournament?
I don't know if I'm actually gonna. It depends on how long this tournament takes. I may not be able to commit because I'm going to be going to a live speedrunning event the first week of June. I'm going to be out of the country. So if I make it that far, we might have to make arrangements to like pre-race or something.
Yeah, we'll try to make it work, but obviously, the first round should be next week. So hopefully you won't have any issues with that, and whoever you're playing against won't have any issues with that. And so yeah, but yeah, obviously we can make arrangements. We'll talk.
Yeah. Hopefully it doesn't come to that, because this is probably my weakest game of the 4.
Yeah, normally you're an all 4 runner, right?
Well, all 4. My focus on these 4 is actually in lost levels. If you remember the relay from 2 years ago, I was in that.
Yeah, that's right. SG to Q, right?
Yeah, 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was the Lost Levels runner. That's my main game of the 4.
And TEEX, how are you going to prepare?
I'll probably be preparing the same way I usually... Sorry if there's noise in the background.
No, you're good.
But anyway, I'll probably be practicing as I usually do. I usually pour about 3 to 4 hours a day into, just grinding levels, whatever holes I need to patch up, whatever strats and situations I need to focus as much attention as I can on. And in the meantime, I'll probably do some full 100% runs as well, because even if I do make mistakes along the way, knowing how to deal with them will also be just as important.
Well, and one thing I commented on was, typically, you guys are probably just resetting on runs So in a race situation, you can't reset. You just got to go. So how do you guys prepare for that situation where it's you're going from constantly resetting runs and just trying to get the world record or trying to PB, and then going into a race situation where you can't reset a single time?
I'm actually used to it because I do a lot of, because in all four you can't really reset, especially, and also I'm just used to a lot of marathon and race situations because I play in a lot of randomizer tournaments, and that's I'm used to having to deal with curveballs.
So you're used to that sort of thing. So this is kind of a good zone for you to be in.
Oh, perfect. These are the kind of situations where I actually play best, because I'm one of those people where if I'm going to have a good run, it's usually on the first run of the night that gets past a certain point. And if I lose a run late, I just hurts so much.
And Diesel?
I think mostly with no reset runs and just marathon runs or whatever, like backup strats, I think are probably the most important to learn. You get those nailed down, and you can, react to whatever happens in a run like this. So I think knowing those are really, really good.
Randomizer helps with that a lot too.
that too.
Yeah, that is really important to note, actually, that, knowing the backup strats, and that's just something it takes a long time to develop, because you got to make a lot of mistakes to actually, learn how to correct the mistakes.
Yeah, it's like learning like each stage, small Mario and big Mario really helps out.
Well, as we were talking, Demon making his way through World 8, narrowly avoiding a bullet bill there. Having a little bit of trouble there with the post-hand stage.
Yeah, he made it through 8-1 on the first try, though, so, I mean, that's usually one of the tougher stages for people to get through.
He didn't use a P-wing on that level?
He had one. He lost it, unfortunately, yeah.
Because usually 8-1 in the Air Force, I just don't want to deal with those levels.
Yeah, I usually P-wing in the Air Force level as well, and that's usually and always a P-wing stage.
Because I believe in 100% you get like either one or two free ones that you can use anywhere.
Yeah,
just any stage you don't like.
Yeah, I think you use 6 total. So, and there's 3 guaranteed that you have to use, but outside of that, or 4 guaranteed you have to use, but outside of that, you get the other 2 to kind of use where you want. Just
any stage you don't like. I probably should have used my other loose P-wing on 7-5, given the situation I was in. I don't like that level at all. There's a reason why. And what's silly is randomizer doesn't actually help you with that level, because if you see it, you usually take an intentional death and skip it.
Yeah, for sure, because it's really long. Yeah, I think you're mentioning you usually keep a tail, which helps a lot for the end, as well as getting to the, I guess it's technically the 5th room in that stage, where you just break the block and then you go right under, and then you could go up above and just get P speed on the flat section and just fly to the end. And
you can also skip that last coin bridge too. That's the big one, because that takes so long.
Yeah, I was thinking I was probably use the other P-wing for 6-9, because I usually can get the wall clip, but for some reason I only do it better with small Mario. I can't get it consistently with big Mario, and I probably attempted that way too many times in this run. I think I went for like 15 tries. I think. Yeah,
I think you got a sub-pixel once that worked, but unfortunately, you only get the 1 frame to make the inputs. So
exactly, yeah, that was rough. I probably should have given myself at least 7 or 8 less tries than I did, but oh well.
So it is actually easier to do a small Mario for whatever reason. Pretty much all the sub-pixels you can get a clip at least into the wall there to do it, but as big Mario, it's a much lower range of sub-pixels for whatever reason, so that's why you're having so much issue.
Yeah, it feels like it is too. Yeah, you can definitely tell. Like, you get it more consistently with Small Mario.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you can just take like a death there or whatever you need to do. Or usually you just take damage in 6-8, and then you go into Small Mario, and
Right.
it's pretty easy to get.
I also hope everybody appreciated all the airship swag.
Oh yeah, all the 1-ups. I did point that out. I was like, that's why he's actually keeping a tail here, even though it is slower, but he's gonna get it. And you had a pretty nice one airship. I think you got like 8 or 9 1-ups.
7. You can get up to 10.
Speaking of 1-ups, I think I got like 4 like unintentional 5-up cards.
I was very conscientious.
Sometimes that's like the hardest thing ever, is to not get a star.
I was very conscientious of that the entire time.
Now, Demon has finished up. He'll probably be joining us here in a second. Again, our video of him is behind because of the pause that we had to do earlier to line everyone up. We'll be waiting for him. Then here he is.
Don't mind me, I'm just goofing off.
Oh, God.
Now, Demon, and that was a race situation. How you?
For a race, admittedly, given how I'm already at, it's not too bad. But let me just say, I forgot why I don't really bother with 100% too much. Why I haven't tried to knock it down. The minute I found 5-9, I remember.
I was gonna talk about 5-9. I was gonna ask what your opinion is of 5-9.
Oh, I have an opinion about 5-9, but after reading the code of conduct, I don't think I'm allowed to say that.
Yeah, we definitely need to keep it PG in here. But we see you finished with a 146.45. Your PB is a 141, correct?
Yeah, 141 flat.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, like pretty much once World 5 happened, well, not even World, like 5-9, but World's, once 5-7 happened, or 5-5 rather, and then 5-6, and then 5-9, honestly, I was like, too bad we can only do one qualifier, because I'd probably just DNF this one and go into the next one.
Yeah, yeah.
Here he is.
World 5 was really tough for you. You didn't have too much problem with much else. I mean, you died in some stages, but for the most part, you died only like once or something. But for some reason, those stages just kept tripping you up.
Yeah. Well, the thing that drove me nuts, too, was the fact that before the race, I had looked into my splits to see where my PB was, and I had figured out, okay, I died in 5-9 like twice in my PB, so that's 2 minutes. I died in 7-4 once or twice, so that's 2 minutes. I died in an airship, so that's another 2.5 minutes.
I was gonna talk about
if I can get through without dying in those, I should at least be able to knock my time down a little bit. And what happens? I end up dying in every single one that I died in before. The only difference is now I add a couple stages to this. So, but
yeah,
either way,
it happens.
But either way, I am definitely gonna still try to knock this down sometime. And like I said at the start, I already knew I wasn't gonna make the bracket anyway, so I'm just curious to see who's gonna end up sitting with me in the corner.
Well, it's good to have you out here regardless, you know, and we still have another race.
We still have a bunch of other heats left. So right now we only have 5 people confirmed for the brackets. So Zakubi, Stewie Cartman, TEEX, Cujo, and RaikouRider are now confirmed. And then obviously the SDiezal and DemonBattler are kind of waiting to see how the rest of it shakes out. And yeah, it's good to mention Friday. So on Friday, we have another heat for you. Macobra 52, The Lost Llama, and Mitch Flower probably taking part in that one. And that'll be at 6 p.m. Eastern again.
That's going to be a fun one to watch.
Yeah, that one should be really good. Llama and Mitch are obviously very good. Mitch has been playing more, Mario World stuff at the moment, getting prepared for his SGDQ run. So I'll be kind of interested to see, if he's rusty at all. But it is Mitch, so he'll probably throw on a pretty good run. And on Saturday, we've got Rupert 83, Pro A 007, and Supersonic in a heat at 4 p.m. Eastern. And then at 6 p.m., we have another one between myself and Dodge Master Dooley. And then the final heats on Sunday at 4 p.m. Eastern, we have Abuba 7, Dave Lindo, and Oglib. And that one should be a pretty good one, too.
Well, mentioning all the SMB3 races, we've also got a lot of stuff going on here on GSA. Tomorrow, we've got 4 races to look out for. 3 Super Mario Sunshine races, one at 12, one at 8, and one at 9:30. And then you've got Super Mario 64. We've still got the 70-star Division 2 League to finish up. So we'll have that at 5 o'clock, Kopitz and Tavistock. And then before the SMB3 race on Friday, we've got the, again, 70-star between Proto Man and Murmo. So look forward to all of that. Make sure to stay tuned. And you got anything else for us, Haxar?
No, I don't think I have any closing thoughts. I just want to thank you guys for coming out and supporting the tournament here. And I want to thank GSA as well for putting this on, and Cheese for doing the restream today. Really appreciate it. And yeah, any other closing thoughts, guys?
Well, I'll certainly.
surprised.
I'm sorry.
One at a time. Okay.
This time really surprised me. I did not think this was anywhere close to. I was just really surprised at this performance.
Well, everyone played really well, so that's really cool to see.
Yeah, I was just going to echo Haxer's sentiments. Just a big thank you to Cheese, Haxer for commenting, and for GSAs for hosting this event. So I'll definitely be keeping an eye out on the bracket and see how it shapes up. And I'll see you guys soon.
All right. Well, just a quick reminder again: 12 a.m. tomorrow, noon, or is it 12 a.m. tonight?
Midnight. Yeah,
midnight. It is at midnight.
Midnight.
Sorry. It's at midnight. You got Super Mario Sunshine. It's in 4 hours. So if you guys are up and you want to watch some Super Mario Sunshine, we got Baston and Guy 2308 going on. Again, that's at midnight. So if you look at the calendar, it's not noon. It's tonight in 4 hours. But Haxer, it was great commentating with you. I loved hearing your smooth, soft voice. It really kept me cool. So I appreciate that. And I hope to see you again.
Yeah, absolutely, man. It's honor. Appreciate it. Just glad to have a co-commentator for this one.
Well, that'll be it. Again, 4 hours. We got Super Mario Sunshine. Make sure to tune in. But otherwise, thank you so much. And thank you to all the racers. And have a good evening.
Have a good night, everybody.
All right, have a good night. GG, folks.
Have a good night. GG, guys. Everybody, see you.